Next, we're talking about Barloworld, right? So the core of this business, of course, is the retailing or provision and servicing of the yellow equipment. Their major brands, of course, are Caterpillar and Bucyrus. Caterpillar, a fantastic US-based business, very, very strong in diggers and articulated dump trucks and marine engines and power packs, you know, generators and so on. And remember, it's not just the Sub-Saharan Africa license. Barloworld, for one reason or another, also owns the license in Iberia, which is the peninsula which has Spain and Portugal in it, and then Siberia as well, which is up in the frozen tundras of Russia. It's got a motor retail business, though. We'll have to look in a minute to see how significant that is. And then, of course, the Avis car rental operation and some other stuff going on. Market capitalization, 17.5 billion rand. Dividend yield 4%, price earnings ratio 9. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one is more going to be moving around in relation to that mining capex cycle. But talk to us about their motor retail
so specifically
operations.
the motor retail, it is still fairly significant. It's around a third of sales and about 15% of operating profit. So clearly a lower operating margin than the balance of the group.
Yes.
So less significant. They do have the car rental and the logistics business as well. So if you add that together, that's significantly
Brings
more around 50% with the balance in that the yellow metal business. So this really traditionally has been quite sensitive to the commodity cycle, quite the share price sensitive to the short-term announcements coming out of CAT in the US in terms of demand. The most recent update from CAT was, I think, slightly more positive than people had expected, sort of a little bit more resilient. This is a way to play the commodity cycle.
Yeah, and the commodity cycle at the moment not looking too dapper, although as you say, at some points in 2013, 2014, they did deliver better numbers than people thought in an environment where it was not perceived they'd be doing all that well. Because remember, one or two key contracts to do a big new open cast mine in Zambia or something can have a big needle moving effect. But at the moment, you can tell from that low PE, people are not all that excited about the prospects.
Actually, the earnings have held up reasonably well, as you mentioned. So it's really that rating at a P of 9 and that dividend yield. I mean, it looks pretty cheap. I think if you, as I've mentioned before, feeling a bit more bullish about the commodity cycle, feeling it's bottomed out, this is a way to play that cycle with an industrial company as opposed to the mining companies.
Just speaking about Avis and their business in that space, to what extent would you say that the vehicle rental business is threatened by Uber? Is it naive to say that? Is Uber really just the top end of the market?
No, I think, and there's been quite a lot of anecdotal comments on that. I think what is happening is that you have, for someone that uses a vehicle and is looking at alternatives, this is a real credible, reliable alternative. So I think you are starting to see behavioral changes. If you fly into Cape Town for the day instead of the hassle of a rental, you might just say call an Uber to your meeting from the airport and return. And anecdotally, articles on the new vehicle sales were saying that the introduction of Uber is starting to have an impact on demand from car rental companies as a result.
Because obviously car rental is a fantastically profitable business because they put a vehicle on the floor and then it gets used, sort of, I don't know what the utilization is, but not that high. But I mean, they make a fortune on that stuff.
Certainly.
So it would be negative because that would result in lower demand at that end of the market. Well, let's see though. It's perhaps early to say.
Yeah, look, that coupled obviously with the decline in tourists and a significant reduction in government spending, that's all dampening demand for car rental as well. So I think it's a number of factors.
Yeah, okay. But as far as Barloworld's concerned, you sounded as though you might be thinking of...
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sort of negativity priced in there, so I'm going to go hot on it.
Okay, I'm not. No ways. Going to see some bad times there still. So as much as I like Clive Thompson and his group, I would say I'm going to avoid it for now, but that's all good.